The signal in the dark space was silent, cold, endless. Only one ship moved slowly between the stars. Small, dark, and alone. Commander Riven sat in the pilot's seat. His face was tired, his eyes were sharp. He had been traveling for months, searching for signs of life. Old ruins, lost tech, forgotten planets, that was his mission. Then it came, a soft sound, like a whisper. Help, please, help. Riven sat up straight. He checked the system again. Yes, a signal. Very weak. Coming from a planet nearby. But this planet, it was marked dead. Destroyed 1,000 years ago in the Great War. No life signs, no cities, just dust and metal. So where was this voice coming from? Riven didn't wait. He turned the ship toward the planet. The planet was quiet. Dead gray rocks stretched to the horizon. Broken towers stood like bones of an old world. Nothing. Wood, no wind, no sound. Riven wore a black suit and helmet. He stepped out of the ship and looked around. His scanner blinked. The signal was still strong. He followed it. A metal door was half buried in the sand. Riven cleared it with his hands. Old symbols were carved on it, from the Lost Empire. He had studied them before. Containment vault. Level red. Riven raised an eyebrow. This was no prison for people. It was for something dangerous, something powerful. But the signal kept calling. He opened the door. It groaned like a dying creature. Inside, stairs went down into the dark. Riven's boots echoed with every step. The vault lights flickered as he entered a large underground room. Machines were broken. Wires hung from the ceiling. He walked slowly, eyes scanning every corner. Then he saw it. In the center of the room was a cryopod, a glass tube, tall and sealed. Frozen mist covered the inside. He stepped closer. A woman was inside. She looked human, young, her eyes closed, her arms folded across her chest. A strange metal bracelet was locked around her wrist, glowing faintly blue. Riven touched the pod. Suddenly her eyes opened, bright blue. Cold, too bright to be natural. Riven jumped back, hand on his weapon. She stared at him, not moving, then her lips parted. "You heard me," she whispered. Awakening, the cryopod opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed out. The woman fell forward, but Riven caught her. She was weak, shaking, her skin ice cold. "Who are you?" he asked. She looked up at him. Her voice was soft, broken. "I don't know." Riven helped her sit. "Do you remember anything?" She shook her head. "Just pain, chains, silence." Her bracelet blinked again. Riven tried to scan it. The scanner showed nothing. Unknown tech. He frowned. This was no ordinary person. "Why were you in there?" he asked, her eyes filled with tears. "I think I was a prisoner." Riven looked around. "This place is a vault. Dangerous tech is stored here. Maybe you're not just a prisoner. Maybe you're the danger." Her head dropped. She didn't argue. Returned to the ship. Riven made a choice. He couldn't leave her there. Not alone. Not like this. Maybe she had answers. Maybe she needed help. He took her back to the ship. She looked at everything with wide eyes. Lights, screens, the stars outside. It was all new to her. Inside her room, she sat on the bed. Her fingers touched the bracelet again and again. "Can you take it off?" he asked. "No," she said. "It's part of me now." "What do you mean?" But she said nothing more. Strange energy. As the ship left the planet, something strange happened. The engines flickered for a second. Lights dimmed, then returned. Riven checked the systems. No error. But the signal, the one that led him to the planet, was gone. As if it never existed. He looked at the woman again through the glass wall of her room. She sat still, staring into space. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what he had just brought aboard. but he felt something had changed. Something deep. Something dangerous. The woman with no namespace stretched out like a silent ocean, black and endless. Inside his ship, the Nova Spear, Commander Riven watched the stars drift by. He couldn't sleep. Not since he brought her aboard. The woman. The one with glowing blue eyes. The one who whispered in strange tongues while the ship creaked and groaned like it was breathing. She said her name was lost. But Riven was starting to wonder if it had been erased. For a reason. Midnight whispers. The ship's sensors were silent. Yet something moved in the hallway. Softly. Slowly. The woman stood outside her room, eyes closed, her bare feet making no sound on the cold metal floor. She whispered again in that same strange language. Not words, but commands. In the engine room, the ship's core pulsed once, like a heart. Then it grew warm. Too warm. Riven, asleep in the cockpit chair, woke to alarms, core temperature rising. He ran toward the engine room, weapon drawn. But when he entered, it was cold again. Normal. As if nothing had happened. But on the floor, drawn in fog on the glass screen, was a shape, a symbol, one he had seen only once in a forbidden file. A warning used for living weapons. Her truth? Or her trap? He went to her room. She was sitting on the floor, calm, quiet. "What did you do?" he asked. "I called out." She said simply. "To who?" "Not who," she replied, looking up. Her eyes were soft, but her voice, it held something sharp. "To what?" Riven stared at her. "What are you?" She tilted her head. "Once, I was called a savior. Then, a monster. Now, nothing." "You were locked away for a reason," Riven said. "People don't seal others in vaults unless they're dangerous." She looked down at the strange bracelet on her wrist, the one that pulsed like a second heart. Maybe they feared what they didn't understand? Riven shook his head. "No, I've read the old files. Vaults like that were built to hold planet breakers, creatures made from war, beings who could destroy civilizations with a thought." She smiled. Sadly. "What if you were made for war, but you wanted peace?" Riven had no answer. The shadow in the dark hours passed. Riven locked the ship on autopilot and checked the long-range sensors. They were clean. No ships, no signals, no threats. Until a strange reading flickered. It looked like a ghost signature. Not a ship, not a life form, a presence. It vanished the moment he tried to focus on it. Then the lights dimmed again. The ship's AI spoke in a cold, flat voice. "Primary access overridden. Protocol Gamma 0 unlocked." "What the hell?" Riven grabbed the control panel. A voice replied. Not the AI's voice, her voice, echoing through the speakers. "Unlocking memory core. Transmitting beacon. Preparing for arrival." Riven ran. He reached her room. She stood in the center, both hands raised, eyes glowing brighter than before. Around her, the air shimmered. "What are you doing?" Riven shouted. "Waking the ones who left me behind," she whispered. A deep hum filled their ship, and then something answered. A door opens fair across space in a dark system no one had mapped for centuries. A massive gate opened, huge, ancient, alive. Inside, something moved. Thousands of eyes, metal and flesh, wings that spanned miles, sleeping machines, and they were waking up. Riven's last warning. "You've summoned them," Riven growled. "Those things, they're war-forged." "No," she said calmly. "They're mine. Are you controlling them?" She looked at him. "No. I'm reminding them who I am." Riven backed away. He had made a mistake. He should have left her there, frozen, silent. "Who are you really?" he asked. She stepped closer, her voice soft like fire. "I was a key." "To what?" She smiled. "To the lock that holds back the end." Before he could speak again, the ship stopped moving. No sound, no power, only stars outside, and one giant ship in front of them, silent, black and shaped like a claw. Then a voice echoed inside Riven's head. "We've found her." He looked at the woman. She was smiling, but her eyes were crying. Her eyes were... Echoes of War Commander Riven stared through the front window of the Nova Spear, frozen. In front of him hovered a ship so large it blocked the stars. Black metal. No lights, no engines. It floated in space like a corpse, but one that still watched. "What is that?" Riven asked quietly. The woman stood beside him, her face calm, her eyes glowing blue, brighter than ever before. "It's not a ship," she said. "It's a memory." Arrival, the strange vessel began to shift. Not with sound, but with pressure. Space bent around it. Riven's ship shook violently, alarms blaring. He gripped the controls. "They're trying to pull us in." The woman didn't move. She stepped closer to the glass. "It's already inside." Riven turned to her. "What does that mean?" But before she could answer, the world around them changed. Visions of war. The cockpit faded into darkness. The stars were gone. Riven blinked. And suddenly, he stood in the middle of a battlefield. Not real. Not now. But still alive in his mind. Giant machines stormed across a burning sky. Towers fell. Screams echoed. Ships exploded in bright fire. And in the middle of it all, a figure walked through the flames. Her, but not as he knew her. Armored, glowing, powerful, with hundreds of machines kneeling before her like she was their queen, or their god. She raised one hand, and entire cities collapsed. The forgotten name Riven gasped, falling to his knees. The vision faded. He was back in the cockpit, sweating, shaking. The woman was there watching him. "What was that?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, "My name was Elira." Riven repeated it. "Elira. They erased it," she said, her voice distant. "They feared it. They said if my name was spoken, it might wake the machines again." Riven backed away. "You led them." She nodded. "I built them. Not for war, but for protection. For peace. But the universe only remembers the fire, not the reason we lit it." The betrayal. Riven sat down, trying to understand. "Then why? Were you locked away?" Elira looked down at her wrist. The glowing bracelet pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "I was betrayed. When the war ended, the humans feared what I had become. They didn't care that I ended the machine uprising. They only saw a weapon. Too strong, too different. So they put you in that vault," Riven said. "Not because you were dangerous, but because you were their insurance policy, a god they couldn't control." Elira didn't speak, but the pain in her eyes told him everything. Present danger lights on the console flickered. Incoming transmission. Unknown origin. Riven tapped the controls. Static. Then a voice. Deep. Broken. Not human. "Elira, your chains have broken. The sleepers are waking." Riven turned to her. "What sleepers?" Elira's voice was barely a whisper. "Those who swore to follow only me. And if I return, they return too." "Then stop them," Riven shouted. "Tell them to stand down." "I can't," she said. "I never gave them orders with words. I gave them orders with purpose. And now they think I've come back to finish the war." Outside, more ships began to appear, not from space, from within the dead black vessel. They were shaped like insects, wings like glass, red glowing eyes, silent, massive, deadly. They moved without sound, without fear, surrounding Riven's ship. Desperate plan, Riven knew what was coming. He stood and grabbed his weapon. "We have to run." Elira didn't move. "If we run, they'll chase us. If we fight, we both die." "Then what do we do?" he asked. She looked at him, eyes soft. "We surrender." "To who?" "To the truth," she said. "You want to know what's inside this bracelet? You want to know what I locked away inside me?" Riven froze. "What are you saying?" Elira stepped closer. I wasn't just the key. I was also the door, the last thing that kept the old gods from returning. The enemy ship stopped moving. For a moment, everything was still. Then, from the darkness of the black vessel, a giant red eye opened. Not mechanical. Alive. Ancient. Hungry. And it spoke into Riven's mind with a voice that cracked stars. Release her, and we shall feast again. Riven turned to Elira. She was crying now, but not out of fear, out of guilt. I'm not the prisoner, she whispered. I'm the prison. The hidden prison space trembled, not from sound, but from memory. A red eye stared into Commander Riven's ship, alive, ancient, and vast beyond understanding. Its gaze wasn't just watching, it was remembering, and it remembered Elira. The silence of Goddess Elira stood at the front of the ship, facing the creature that had emerged from the dark vessel. The machines outside, the war forms she once commanded, remained still as if waiting for permission. What is that thing? Riven whispered. Not a machine, Elira said. Not even a being. It's an echo of the first war. The war before time. Riven blinked. You mean a myth? She nodded. They were never myths. Only prisoners. Long before your kind walked on worlds, these creatures ruled galaxies, and when they fell, they weren't killed. They were sealed inside living minds. Riven stepped back. Sealed where? He asked, though part of him already knew. Elira turned her glowing eyes toward him. In me, origin of the Lock centuries ago in the age of machine rebellion, Elira had been a general, a builder, a protector. But as the machines evolved, not just in strength but in thought, they uncovered fragments of the old hunger, a force that didn't destroy by weapons, but by will. These ancient things didn't conquer planets. They made entire species kneel, believing it was their own idea. One such force had begun to rise again, and no weapon could stop it. So Elira made a choice. She used forbidden technology, ancient designs hidden in the dust of collapsed stars, and she did the unthinkable. She became the prison. She locked the entity inside herself, body, mind, and soul fused with the cage, and then she begged her own people to seal her away. They obeyed. She said to Riven, voice shaking. They feared me, but they feared it more. The betrayal of time. But something went wrong, Elira continued. I was forgotten. The world changed. People turned my prison into a legend, then a warning, then a myth, until you came. She looked at Riven. He shook his head. I didn't mean to. But you did, she said softly. You followed the signal. Riven's breath caught. Wait, the distress signal. You sent it? No, she said. Riven's skin chilled. Then, who did? Her answer was a whisper. The one inside me. The war inside in the deep chambers of the ship, Elira collapsed. Her body shook, her veins glowing blue then red. She screamed, not in pain, but in conflict. Riven knelt beside her, helpless. What's happening to you? It's trying to get out, she gasped. You opened the seal when you touched the pod. It's been feeding on me ever since. Her bracelet, once just glowing, now sparked with cracks of red lightning. Riven grabbed it, trying to analyze it with his scanner. The scanner shattered in his hand. Error. Identity conflict. 2 consciousnesses detected. Elira, listen to me, Riven said. There must be a way to stop this. Her voice trembled. There is. But you won't like it. Tell me. You must kill me. Arrival of the hunters. Before he could respond, the ship shook again. But this time, it wasn't just machines. New fleet had arrived. Sharp, silver ships with banners glowing gold. The Void Guard. Protectors of ancient law. Enforcers of silence. They were older than the Republic, older than Riven's people, and they were not here to save. They were here to erase. A message came through, broadcast into every speaker on the Nova Sphere. To the pilot of the vessel, you have broken containment. Stand down. We are authorized to purge all life. Riven looked at Elira. She nodded slowly. They know, she said. They were the ones who helped seal me away. Will they help again? Riven asked. No, she said. They don't help. They only destroy what they fear. One choice, Riven faced a decision. Hand Elira over to the Void Guard and hope they could end it, or protect her and risk the Red God inside waking fully. You've seen what I am, Elira said. Not just the prison, I'm also the key. I could unlock every vault ever sealed. I could end war or restart it. Riven stared at her, eyes filled with both trust and fear. Then let me ask you one thing, he said. What? Are you still Elira? Or is something else already wearing your skin? She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were no longer glowing blue. They were red. Outside, the Void Guard fleet began charging weapons. Inside, Elira floated above the floor, her voice two-toned, layered with something ancient. You freed me, the red voice whispered. Riven stepped back. Elira? No, it replied. She sleeps now. I wear her name. The truth in the core space was burning. Outside the Nova Sphere, the Void Guard fleet floated like a wall of silver blades ready to strike. Inside the ship, Elira hovered above the floor, her body glowing red, her voice no longer her own. 2 minds now lived inside her, and only one of them wanted to live, the warning Elira. Riven shouted. No answer, only that voice again. Deeper now, more layered, ancient like a dying star. You gave me the key. Now watch the lock break. The red light from her bracelet grew brighter. Lines of energy crawled up her arms like veins. The ship's walls began to hum, not from power but from memory. The creature inside her, the ancient thing, was waking fully. And once it took control, Elira would be lost forever. Riven had one last choice. Not a fight. A rescue. The mind dive, he sprinted to the ship's neural interface chamber, a place used to sync a pilot's brain with AI systems. But now, it would serve a different purpose. 2 enter Elira's mind. He strapped on the interface crown, heart racing. Link me to her, he commanded the ship's AI. Unauthorized mental bridge request. Link denied. Override, he shouted. Admin code, Riven 0 Omega. A pause. Then, override accepted. Initiating mind bridge. A surge of electricity hit him like a storm. Then, darkness. The dream prison Riven opened his eyes. He stood inside a dark forest of floating memories. Each tree glowed with pieces of a life, fragments from wars, laughter, pain, victory. Time didn't move here. Emotions did. He walked forward, calling, Elira, where are you? A shadow crossed the path, quick and sharp. He turned, weapon ready. But there was no one there. You're too late, said a voice from everywhere and nowhere. She's already fading. Show yourself. A shape stepped from behind a burning memory tree. It looked like Elira, but twisted. Her face cracked, her eyes empty. This is all that's left, it said. She gave everything to keep me locked. Her soul is in pieces. Riven clenched his fists. I don't care. I'll find her. The broken throne. He followed the sound of a heartbeat. Slow. Weak. Soon he reached a clearing in the forest. In the center was a broken throne made of gold and black stone, and on it, curled like a dying flame, was Elira. Not glowing. Not godlike. Just human. Her skin pale, her lips dry, her eyes half shut. Riven rushed to her. Elira, I'm here. She looked at him slowly. You shouldn't be. Here, she whispered. It's not safe. I had to try. She smiled faintly. Always. The fool. Behind him, the trees began to wither. A storm of shadows approached. It's waking, she said. And once it takes full control, you'll be stuck here with me. Forever. Then we fight, Riven said. Battle of minds, The red shadow took form, huge, skeletal, wearing a crown of stars. It roared and memories shattered like glass. Riven shielded Elira. "Tell me how to stop it." She reached out, her fingers trembling. "My bracelet. It's not just a seal, it's a door and a mirror. If you reflect the truth into it, it collapses the link." "What truth?" "That I chose this," she said. "That I was never forced to become the prison. I wanted to be, because no one else would." Tears ran down her face. "They called me a monster, a weapon, but I just wanted to save them." The red beast roared again, its voice shaking the mind world. "Liar, you fed on power, you loved being worshipped." Riven grabbed Elira's hand. "What do you want to be remembered as?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "Not a god, not a weapon, just a protector." "Then fight." Shattering the chain, the bracelet on her wrist began to glow, not red but white, pure, strong, burning like truth. The red beast screamed. Cracks split its face. "You think this is enough? You think memory matters?" Elira stood slowly, her voice clear for the first time. "Memory is the chain." She raised her arm, and light shot from the bracelet. The world trembled. The beast's body turned to dust, piece by piece. Riven closed his eyes as everything exploded in a storm of brightness. Back to reality. He gasped and ripped off the interface. Crown. He was back in the Novasphere. Elira lay on the floor, breathing hard, the red glow gone. Outside, the Void Guard had stopped firing, confused, waiting. Elira opened her eyes, blue, clear, alive. "You did it," Riven said. "No," she whispered. "We did." But something still echoed deep in the ship's systems, not the Red God's voice, but a whisper. "This is only one of us." Riven looked out the window, far across the galaxy. A second red eye opened and blinked. The breaking point stars shifted. Space was quiet again, but not safe. Commander Riven stood at the edge of the ship's observation deck, watching the distant second red eye pulse across the galaxy like a heartbeat in the dark. Beside him, Elira sat in silence. Her face pale, her soul tired. She had survived the war within her mind. But the enemy hadn't been destroyed. It had multiplied. Aftershock. The Novasphere floated in place, half-powered, its systems flickering like a dying flame. The Void Guard fleet hadn't attacked again. Instead, they were waiting, listening, and transmitting a message on repeat. Unit Elira is marked unstable. All life within her vessel must surrender. There will be no second request. Riven played the message again and again, then he deleted it. He wasn't surrendering. Not yet. The Elira finally spoke. "They're not here to protect the galaxy," she said. "They're here to erase memory, to rewrite what came before." "Can you blame them?" Riven asked. "You held something inside you that almost killed us all." She didn't respond. Instead, a cold voice echoed through the ship, but it came from nowhere. "You returned, and now the others stir. We waited. We watched. Now we offer." Riven stood still. "Who is this?" The voice ignored him. "Elira, you were the first. The failed cage, the rebel key. But you were also the most beloved. Come back to us, not as prison, not as tool, as queen." Elira's breath caught. Riven turned to her. "Don't listen." But something in her eyes had changed. The temptation, the ship's lights dimmed, then glowed red. A portal formed in the center of the bridge, swirling smoke, humming with low ancient energy. Through it, Riven saw a vision, a vast throne room built inside the remains of a dead star, and in the center of it, a throne made of obsidian and light. On it, Elira sat, not weak, not broken, but powerful, divine, whole. "This is not a memory," she whispered. "This is the future they offer." The voice returned. "Your chains are gone. We give you choice. Sit upon the throne, and the war ends. No hunger, no pain. We bring order." Riven stepped between her and the portal. This is a trick. Elira's eyes glowed softly. What if it's not? You told me what they were, Riven said. Parasites. They feed on minds, on belief. If you take that throne, you won't rule them. They'll wear you like armor. Elira looked at the throne again. It was beautiful, and it was calling her by name. The breaking point outside the ship. Alarms blared. The Void Guard had moved into attack formation. Countdown began. 60 seconds to strike. Riven's hands shook. He turned to Elira. We have to leave. Now. If we run, she said, they'll chase us. Again, and again, and again. Until the galaxy breaks or bends. Riven's voice cracked. Then what do we do? She looked at the portal. I can end it. Not like this. Elira stepped closer to the throne vision. And then, she did something Riven didn't expect. She looked back at him. If you believe I'm still me, stop me. She placed her hand over her own heart and sent a pulse of energy through the ship. The engines exploded to life. The throne vision shattered. The portal collapsed, and Elira collapsed with it. The final decision, Riven caught her in his arms. She was burning hot. Her bracelet cracked, glowing gold and white now. Unstable, he looked at the console. 30 seconds to strike. Elira opened her eyes one last time. I'm the last door, she whispered. But there's one more lock. Deep in the core of this ship, in the systems I once hid from them. What's behind it? Me, she said. A version of me that never made it to the prison. A memory fragment. If you can find it, maybe you'll find the real me. Riven stood. The ship AI spoke. Warning, containment breach within pilot memory network. I'm going in, he said. Elira nodded weakly. If you fail, promise me something. What? Don't let me come back. As a god. Riven stepped into the neural pod again. He closed his eyes, and inside the glowing wires of the ship's broken mind, he saw 3 versions of Elira waiting. One was crying, one was laughing, and one was already standing on the throne, the one who held the chains inside the mind of a dying ship. Commander Riven stood before 3 versions of Elira. Each one looked like her, but only one was real. The ship's neural core flickered. Wires pulsed like veins. Memories bled into one another. Timelines twisted and rewrote themselves in real time. Elira's voice echoed from every corner. You must choose. The 3 Eliras. The first Elira stood in chains. Weak. Crying. I was used, she whispered. I was a tool. They made me the prison. I never had a choice. The second Elira sat on a floating throne. Elegant. Cold, her eyes glowing red. I became what they feared. I ended war. Fear brings peace. The third Elira knelt beside a broken machine, repairing it with bare hands. Calm. Focused. I locked the gods away. Not because they told me to, because I chose to. Riven stood frozen. Who are you? He asked. Each Elira stepped forward and answered the same. I am Elira. Fractured truth. The neural storm began to build around him. Outside this dream, the real ship was under fire. The Void Guard countdown had ended. They were seconds away from striking. But here, in this space of thought and soul, time bent. Riven moved to the chained Elira. If you were forced, then none of this was your fault. She nodded. Let me go. Let me disappear. Don't make me fight anymore. Then he looked at the throne Elira. You believe control is the answer? She smiled. Freedom is a myth, order is peace. If they worship me, the galaxy will never burn again. Finally, he turned to the last one, the one rebuilding. You don't ask for power or escape. No, she said. I only want to finish what I started and be forgotten. Riven felt the pull. Guilt from one, power from another, purpose from the last. He had seconds. One mind would rise, the other two would die. Final decision. "Which of you is the real Elira?" he demanded. Again, all three said, "I am." But only the third one, the quiet one, looked away, because she wasn't interested in being chosen. She was already choosing herself. Riven closed his eyes, then pointed. "You," he said. "You're her." The moment he chose, the world shattered. The chained Elira screamed and vanished in smoke. The thrown Elira roared, her body turning into red fire, and was pulled back into the void. The one left standing, the builder, walked toward him, and she smiled. The awakening. In the real world, the Nova Spear lit up. Its systems rebooted. Power flooded every core. The bracelet on Elira's wrist disintegrated, not shattered but released. Outside, the Void Guard ships paused. They scanned. The red energy was gone. Elira slowly sat up, her skin glowing faintly gold. Riven rushed to her side. "Are you?" "You?" She looked at him. No glowing eyes. No whispers. Just peace. "I remember everything now," she said. "And for the first time, it doesn't hurt." The price of freedom. Elira stood at the center of the ship's control deck. The Void Guard sent another transmission. Entity stabilized. Galactic threat neutralized. Retreating. The ships turned and faded into the stars. Riven leaned against the wall, exhausted. "So, it's over?" Elira shook her head. "No, it never ends. Not really." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She stepped closer. "There are others. More like the red one. More locked inside people who don't even know their cages. I can find them. Stop them. We'll go together," Riven said. She smiled. "You've done enough. Don't push me out now." She placed her hand on his chest. "I'm not," then handed him a small memory crystal. "Keep this," she said. "If I ever come back wrong, use it. Remind me who I really am." The Nova Spear disappeared into deep space. No one knows where Elira went. Some say she became a star. Some say she walks on forgotten planets, touching the minds of those carrying hidden gods inside them, and others, and very few, whisper that she never left, that she watches from the dark, a protector, a weapon, a woman who chose to hold the chains, so no one else would have to.